"Take it for 3, my mother said, holding up my graduation dress like it was an old curtain. "She won't need it where she's going." I stood at the edge of our front lawn in my grocery store uniform, my lunch bag still hanging from my wrist. For a second, I thought I had walked to the wrong house. Then I saw my name, written in black marker across 3 cardboard boxes. Iam Emanuel L.A. Inside them were my sketchbooks, my shoes, my college notebooks, my jewelry box, my laptop bag, and the framed photo of my father holding my hand when I was 6. A stranger picked it up and asked, "How much for this frame?" My mother smiled. $1. I finally found my voice. "Mom, what is this?" Denise Carter turned slowly, like she had been waiting for me to arrive. She did not flinch. She did not lower her voice. She looked past me at the neighbors gathered around the tables and said, "That's what happens when you defy me." The night before, all I had done was tell her I opened my own bank account. I was 19, working double shifts, saving for community college, and filling out an application for student housing in secret because I already knew what she would say. Denise called it betrayal. She said daughters who respected their mothers did not make plans behind their backs. I thought it was another argument. She turned it into a yard sale. "Those are mine," I said, stepping toward the table where my keepsake box sat open. Denise moved in front of me. "Everything under my roof belongs to me." A few people pretended not to listen. A woman folded one of my sweaters over her arm. 2 neighbors whispered near the driveway. I looked at the tables again. My desk was already being carried to a pickup truck. My winter coat was in the hands of a girl from down the street. My school binders were stacked beside a handwritten sign that said, "5 for $1." Then I saw something that made my stomach tighten. Denise was stuffing the cash into a thick envelope. Not a purse, not a lockbox. An envelope with the name of a mortgage company printed in blue across the corner. She noticed me looking and slid it under a stack of towels. I did not scream. I did not beg. I pulled out my phone and took one picture of her standing behind the yard sale table, smiling beside what was left of my life. Then I turned and walked away, wondering why my mother needed money badly enough to humiliate me in front of the whole neighborhood. That night, the yard sale signs were gone, but the house still looked robbed. I opened my bedroom door and stopped with my hand on the knob. My mattress was on the floor with no sheets. The walls had pale rectangles where my shelves used to be. My desk was gone. My lamp was gone. My school binders were gone. Even the chipped little mirror I had taped photos around since middle school had been pulled off the wall. On the mattress sat one black trash bag. I stepped closer and opened it. Inside were 3 shirts that were not mine, 1 pair of jeans with a broken zipper, and a sweater I had not worn since 10th grade. From the kitchen, I heard a fork scrape against a plate. Denise was sitting at the table eating baked chicken like it was any normal Saturday night. The mortgage envelope was not on the counter anymore. I put the trash bag on the floor. "Where's the money?" She did not look up. "What money?" "The money from my things, the laptop bag, my desk, my dress, my books, all the stuff I bought with my checks." Denise cut another piece of chicken. "You embarrassed me by acting grown, so I helped you understand what grown feels like." I gripped the back of the chair across from her. "I was saving for school." "You were sneaking around." "I was applying for community college housing. I was trying to do something with my life." She finally looked at me and her eyes were flat. "You had a roof, food, rides, heat, water. Do you know what that costs?" "I worked for that money. And I worked raising an ungrateful child." I swallowed because my throat had started burning, and I did not want her to hear it. "I want the money from my belongings," I said. "At least the things I paid for." Denise leaned back. "You want to rebuild trust, then your next paycheck comes to me." I stared at her. "And tomorrow," she continued, "you're closing that little bank account you opened. You can use the joint one like before. I need to see what you're doing." That was when the yard sale stopped looking like punishment and started looking like a warning. No, I said. The word came out quiet, but it changed the room. Denise's fork paused halfway to her mouth. What did you say? I said no. I'm not giving you my paycheck, and I'm not closing my account. For the first time all day, her face changed. The satisfaction disappeared. Something colder took its place. You think people will believe you? She asked. I can call your aunt tonight. I can call everyone. I'll tell them you've become selfish, unstable, cruel to your own mother. I said nothing. No one believes a daughter who turns on the woman who raised her. I went back to my room, grabbed the trash bag, my work shoes, and the phone with the photo still saved on it. Then I called Nina, a coworker who had once told me her couch was open if things ever got bad. When I walked toward the front door, Denise followed me into the hallway. You'll come crawling back, she said, her voice low behind me, when you find out what I still have access to. The next morning, my debit card declined in front of 6 people, and a cashier who suddenly got very interested in the receipt printer. I was at a grocery store 2 blocks from Nina's apartment, holding bread, peanut butter, shampoo, and a pack of cheap socks. Nothing expensive, nothing careless, just the kind of things you buy when your whole life fits inside one trash bag. The cashier tried again. Do you sell any day? She lowered her voice. Do you have another card? The man behind me sighed. I stepped out of line with my basket still on the counter and walked outside before my face could give me away. My hands were shaking when I opened my banking app. The new account was safe. But the old joint account, the one my mother had opened for me when I was 16, the one I thought had only a little money left in it, was almost empty. There was one transfer from that morning. DNISC Carter. I stood under the grocery store awning, staring at the number until the screen dimmed. Then my phone started buzzing. A cousin tagged me in a post. Denise had written, "Sometimes motherhood means letting a disrespectful child face the real world. I asked for basic respect and was abandoned in my own home. Pray for me." Under it, relatives were already commenting. "Stay strong, Denise. You did your best. These kids get one paycheck and forget who raised them." Then a church friend messaged me privately. "Your mom is crying to everyone. She says you left because you didn't want rules anymore." I did not answer. I had $5 in my wallet and no appetite left. 2 weeks later, I went to a family barbecue because Denise still had my birth certificate and social security card locked in her filing cabinet. I waited until people were eating in the backyard before I approached her near the kitchen door. "I need my documents," I said. "I'm not here to argue." Denise smiled like she had an audience even before anyone turned around. "You're not mature enough to manage adult documents," she said. A few relatives went quiet. "Mom, those belong to me." "So did the life you walked out of." Aunt Marlene looked up from the picnic table. My uncle stopped pouring lemonade. I kept my voice even. "Give me my birth certificate and social security card." Denise lifted her chin. "You don't get to storm out, disrespect me, and then make demands in my sister's backyard." That was when Aunt Marlene touched my elbow. "Come here a second," she whispered. She led me near the side gate, far enough from the others that Denise could not hear every word. "Emanuela," she said, watching the kitchen door, "has your mother actually been paying for school?" I blinked. "What?" "She's borrowed from me twice. From your uncle, too. She said it was for your tuition deposits and application fees." My mouth went dry. I never got any of that money. Aunt Marlene's face changed before she could hide it. Before she could say more, Denise appeared behind us. "What are you two whispering about?" "Nobody's whispering," I said. Denise's smile vanished. "You come here and start turning my own family against me." "I came for my documents." She went inside, came back with a folder, and slapped it onto the patio table hard enough to rattle the paper plates. "You want your documents," she said. "Earn them." I opened the folder. My birth certificate was there, my old school records, my social security card. And underneath them was a handwritten list titled, What EMMANULLAOWES? Food since age 16. Clothes. Gas. Rent. Doctor visits. Each line had a dollar amount beside it, as if being raised by my own mother had been a loan I never agreed to take. People around the table leaned in, confused. Then I saw the corner of another paper, half hidden beneath the folder. A foreclosure warning. Same mortgage company, same blue lettering from the envelope at the yard sale. Denise saw my eyes move. She snatched the paper back, so fast the folder slid against my chest. That is none of your business. I took my documents and left without another word. That night on Nina's couch, I opened a new notebook, pressed the pen to the first clean page, and wrote, Buy the house back from under her. 7 years later, I was sitting in a small office above a tax preparation business, staring at the address I used to write on school forms. 418 Maple Ridge Lane. My mother's house. The listing had been posted at 6:12 that morning. I knew because Nina had sent it to me before I even finished my coffee. Her message said, Don't react yet, just read. So I read. Foreclosure auction, opening bid listed, county records attached, sale date confirmed. For a moment, I did not move. The office around me stayed exactly the same. The printer humming near the window, the cheap blinds clicking against the glass, the stack of lease applications on my desk. But something old inside me went silent. I clicked on the documents. There it was. The same mortgage company name I had seen printed on the envelope at the yard sale. The same blue lettering I had seen half hidden under Denise's folder at the barbecue. The debt had not started when I left. It had already been there. I opened the public records and went through them line by line. Missed payments, late fees, a refinance attempt, then another, a lien from a contractor, a tax notice that had sat unpaid long enough to become public. The house Denise used to control every conversation had barely been hers by the time she sold my belongings on the front lawn. Nina stood in my doorway with 2 paper cups of coffee. You okay? She asked. I turned the monitor toward her. She was drowning before I ever opened that bank account. Nina stepped closer and read the screen. Are you going to call her? No. That answer came faster than I expected. I had spent years learning how not to react to Denise's emergencies. I started as a receptionist at a property management company, answering angry tenant calls and filing maintenance requests. Then I earned my real estate license at night. Then Nina and I formed Carter Ridge Holdings from one office, one borrowed printer, and every lesson I had learned from being powerless. I did not build that company to chase my mother, but I knew exactly what to do when her house appeared at auction. I registered under Carter Ridge Holdings. I checked the title records twice. I asked our attorney to review the foreclosure file. Everything was legal. Everything was documented. No shortcuts, no screaming, no scene. On the day of the auction, I sat in the back row with my hands folded over a yellow legal pad. No one there knew what that address meant to me. To them, it was square footage, taxes, repairs, and resale value. To me, it was a bedroom stripped down to a mattress. It was my desk leaving in a pickup truck. It was Denise saying, Everything under my roof belongs to me. When Carter Ridge Holdings won, nobody clapped. The room just moved on to the next property. I signed the paperwork with steady hands. Only when I got to my car did I let myself open the old photo from that Saturday morning 7 years earlier. Denise stood behind the yard sale table, smiling. My belongings were stacked around her like proof. I set the phone on the passenger seat and looked at the auction receipt in my lap. For years, she had told everyone I walked away from family. Now the county records showed what she had really been protecting. Over the next week, I heard through relatives that Denise was telling people the bank had made a mistake. She'll fix it, Aunt Marlene said during one careful phone call. That's what she keeps saying, that she always handles things. Then Denise started calling me. The first call came at 9:43 on a Monday night. I let it ring. The second came the next morning. Then 3 more over 2 days. She did not leave an apology. She left messages with pauses in the middle, like she expected guilt to fill the silence. "Emanuela, call me back." Then, "I don't know what you've heard, but family should talk before strangers get involved." Then, "You know, after everything, I am still your mother." On Friday afternoon, I answered. For 3 seconds, neither of us spoke. Then Denise exhaled like she had won something. "I knew you'd come around," she said. "Family is family." I looked at the envelope sitting on my desk. Inside was one photograph, not a threat, not an explanation, just proof. My voice was calm when I said, "Go check your mailbox." I heard her front door open through the phone. A few seconds later, the metal mailbox creaked. Then Denise went completely silent. The silence lasted so long that I checked my phone to make sure the call had not dropped. Then I heard paper moving. A sharp breath. Another second passed. "What is this?" Denise asked. Her voice had changed. It was not loud anymore. It had edges but no strength behind them. "You know what it is," I said. The envelope in her hand held one photograph. It was not the old picture from the yard sale. It was me standing in front of 418 Maple Ridge Lane, wearing a navy blazer, my hair pulled back, one hand resting lightly on the auction sign beside the driveway. Across the sign, in red letters, was one word. Sold. On the back of the photo I had written, I learned respect, for myself. Denise's breathing grew, uneven through the phone. "What did you do?" she demanded. "I bought the house." "That's impossible." "It was sold at foreclosure auction." "No," she snapped. "No, you don't get to say that like you bought a sofa. That is my house." "It was your house," I said, "until the foreclosure was finalized." "You had no right." "I had the same right as every registered bidder in that room." She laughed once, but it came out thin and cracked. "You think you're clever. You think this makes you grown." I looked across my office at the folder our attorney had prepared. Every page was tabbed. Every date was highlighted. Every transfer, notice, and record sat in order. "No," I said. "Buying it didn't make me grown. Surviving you did." Denise went quiet again. Then she tried the voice I remembered from childhood, the one she used when she wanted obedience to sound like concern. "Emanuela," she said slowly, "you don't understand what happened." "I do." "You don't." "I saw the mortgage envelope at the yard sale," I said. "I saw the foreclosure warning at Aunt Marlene's barbecue. I saw the public records, the missed payments, the liens, the refinance attempts. You were already behind before I left. That was private. You made my life public when you sold it on the front lawn." Her breath caught. "You told everyone you were teaching me respect," I continued. "But that wasn't the whole truth. You sold my things because you needed cash. You emptied my joint account because you needed cash. You borrowed money from Aunt Marlene and Uncle Ray and told them it was for my tuition, but I never saw any of it." "That is not." "I have the messages," I said. "I have screenshots of your posts. I have bank records showing the transfer. I have the county foreclosure file. I have the photo from that morning." The line filled with a low, trembling sound. Not crying yet. Something closer to panic trying not to become visible. "You kept all that?" she asked. "Yes." "For 7 years?" "Yes." Her voice sharpened again, desperate to become dangerous. "A daughter does not take her mother's home." I looked down at the deed copy on my desk. "A mother does not sell her daughter's bed." That landed differently. Denise did not answer right away. In the background, I heard a car pass her street. A dog barked somewhere nearby. The normal neighborhood sounds made her silence feel smaller. Then came the guilt. "After everything I sacrificed for you," she said. "After raising you alone, after keeping a roof over your head. You used that roof like a leash. You owe me." "No," I said. You wrote that list once: food, clothes, gas, rent. You tried to bill me for being your child. I don't owe you a house, too. Her next breath shook. Where am I supposed to go? I closed my eyes for 1 second, and suddenly I was 19 again, standing in an empty bedroom with a trash bag on a bare mattress. That was the question I asked myself the day you sold my bed. She whispered my name, but I did not let the sound pull me back. All communication goes through the property attorney from now on, I said. You'll receive the legal notice period required after the sale. Nothing will be done outside the law. You're evicting your own mother. I'm enforcing the sale of a property my company legally purchased. You sound cold. No, I said. I sound free. By the next morning, the family group chat had already started to change. Aunt Marlene sent one message first. Denise, did you borrow money from us for tuition that Amanila never received? Nobody replied for 8 minutes. Then my uncle wrote, I want an answer to that too. A cousin who had once commented under Denise's post with, Stay strong, sent me a private apology. Then another relative asked why Denise had told them I abandoned her when the foreclosure notices had been active for years. The same people who had whispered about me at barbecues started comparing the stories she had given them, and none of them matched. Denise tried to defend herself at first. She said she had been overwhelmed. She said I had forced her hand. She said children never understood adult pressure. But paperwork has a way of ending performances. The drained account had dates. The foreclosure had dates. The yard sale photo had a timestamp. Aunt Marlene stopped inviting Denise to speak for the family. Relatives stopped sending her money without asking questions. The church friend who had messaged me years earlier wrote, I'm sorry. I believed what she said. The neighbors saw the rest without anyone explaining it. They watched Denise carry boxes out through the same front door where she had once stood selling mine. No folding tables this time. No handwritten signs. No smile for the crowd. Just cardboard, silence, and the sound of tape ripping across the top of each box. I did not go there that day. Our attorney handled the notice. The county handled the records. The locks were changed only after the legal process was complete. Every step was documented because I refused to become careless just because she had been cruel. When the house was empty, I walked through it with Nina. The living room smelled like dust and old carpet. The kitchen table was gone. My bedroom door still had the faint mark where a sticker had been peeled away years earlier. Nina stood beside me in the doorway. You sure you want to keep it? She asked. I looked at the room where I had once learned how little I owned when someone else controlled the walls around me. For now, I said. We renovated slowly. New floors, fresh paint, repaired windows, a front porch that no longer looked like a stage for humiliation. At first, it became Carter Ridge Holdings' first major rental property. Later, after the company grew, I turned it into a small office and transitional housing project for young women leaving controlling homes. The room that had been mine stayed, untouched the longest. Not because I missed it. Because I wanted to remember the exact shape of what I survived. Then one afternoon, I opened a can of warm white paint, rolled the first stripe across the wall, and covered the last shadow of the old shelves. When the paint dried, I replaced the locks, took down the faded family portrait in the hallway, and hung a framed copy of the auction deed in its place. Denise lost the house she used as leverage. I gained the one thing she could never sell from a yard table. Control. The house Denise once used to trap me became the first place I was finally free.